Good evening and thank you for joining me on Black News Tonight. I'm Marc Lamont Hill. A Wisconsin police officer could face charges in the death of Jay Anderson Jr. A judge found probable cause to charge Joseph Mensah with homicide by negligent use of a weapon. The incident happened back in 2016. Mensah found Anderson sleeping in his car, and Mensah claims he shot the 25-year-old after he reached for a gun. Anderson's family disputes that claim, saying evidence did not support what the officer said. The judge says that in 60 days, he will pick a special prosecutor to determine if charges would be filed. Mensah shot and killed 3 people during a 5-year stint as a police officer. Anderson was the second. According to recent data, most hate crimes in the country are perpetrated by white Americans, with the majority of all hate crimes involving bigotry against racial or ethnic minorities. However, reports submitted to the FBI by police in 13 states show black Americans as being more likely than whites to commit hate crimes in those jurisdictions, in some cases at a rate more than 3 times larger than the population of black people in the state. A new report put out today by Movement Advancement Project questions the effectiveness of hate crime laws in the U.S. and suggests that the gathering of data around them is often inaccurate. It also draws attention to efforts in some states to include police officers as a protected class under hate crime laws, a push widely seen as part of a conservative backlash to the Black Lives Matter movement. Civil rights attorney Benjamin Crump is representing a black women's advocacy group in their fight against Johnson & Johnson. The National Council of Negro Women is suing Johnson & Johnson over their talcum-based powder, claiming that it has links to ovarian cancer. The women's group filed a lawsuit this week in New Jersey alleging negligence, failure to warn customers of a possible defect in a product, and consumer fraud on the part of Johnson & Johnson. But the lawsuit doesn't denote the exact amount of money the organization is seeking in damages. Johnson & Johnson denies the allegations. Class action suits are incredibly important. It allows people to wield their power, which individually isn't particularly strong, against corporations, which generally is exceptionally powerful. But when we can come together and say, all of us have had a problem with this product or this company, all of us have had a problem with this outcome, with this drug, with this policy, it allows us to wield some serious power. And unfortunately, when it comes to the life and the health of black women and girls, we haven't had the opportunity, we haven't had the freedom to simply advocate individually. We haven't had the possibility of individual advocacy. Instead, what we've had to do is come together and organize. And it's incredibly important that Attorney Benjamin Crump is leading the charge on this. I don't know, as a matter of law or as a matter of science, whether Johnson & Johnson is wrong or whether the women's advocacy group is right. That isn't for me to say. That's for the courts to decide. But it is incredibly important that we have the space to do this. It's incredibly important that we have the time and the opportunity to levy whatever power we have, whatever resources we have, to advocate for women, particularly when it comes to their health. I want to pivot now because we have so many incredibly important stories to talk about, and perhaps the most important one is Simone Biles. Simone Biles is hands down the greatest gymnast ever. The 4-time Olympic gold medalist withdrew from the team final and individual all-around competitions at the Olympics, citing her mental health as the reason.
Yeah, I say put mental health first, because if you don't, then you're not going to enjoy your sport and you're not going to succeed as much as you want to. So it's okay sometimes to even sit out the big competitions to focus on yourself, because it shows how strong of a competitor and person that you really are, rather than just battle through it.
Since her announcement, she's been under heavy and really vile criticism. In his article for the Daily Mail, English journalist Piers Morgan said, and I quote, "Well, sorry if it offends all the howling Twitter snowflake virtue signalers, but I don't think it's remotely courageous, heroic, or inspiring to quit." Joining the anti-Biles campaign, John Daniel Davidson wrote for the right-wing online magazine The Federalist, and I quote, "Biles doesn't suffer from a specific mental illness, at least not that we know of or that's ever manifested itself before. What she experienced wasn't that. It was something more common among professional athletes. She got psyched out. She wasn't mentally tough when she needed to be. The harshest criticism, however, came from the conservative radio talk show host, Charlie Kirk.
She's immature. She's totally a sociopath. Of course she's a sociopath. What kind of person skips the gold medal match? Who does that? It's a shame to the nation. You just gave a gift to the Russians.
Joining me now to discuss is GOP strategist and political commentator Melik Abdul. Melik, welcome to the show. First of all, what do you make of Charlie Kirk's remarks? Do you agree, disagree?
Charlie Kirk is actually being Charlie Kirk. He's not any different than he was during the 4 years of Donald Trump. A lot of things he's very uneducated on. He's very provocative. But this is actually his shtick. It doesn't matter where you're talking about this or if you're even talking about something like Juneteenth, which was actually something that came about.
You haven't answered the question, though. Do you agree or do you disagree? You haven't answered the question. Do you agree or disagree with him?
Do I disagree? Well, Charlie Kirk is typically uneducated about most things, and he's a very provocative person. If you want a direct answer, do I disagree with Charlie? Yes, I disagree with a lot of conservatives, including Charlie Kirk, and I've actually said that publicly online in many different instances. This is just another one of those instances.
Thank you. So what's your take? I saw a little bit on Twitter about what you thought. Can you elaborate on that? Talk to me. What's your take on this?
Yeah, so I actually think this is something that we need to have a broader discussion on when we're talking about mental health. Some things America has to move, and we're not at that point yet where we really take mental health seriously, not even when it comes to sports in any type of instance. We just went through this this whole thing with Britney Spears. Remember the Britney Spears breakdown? Just think about the number of times we actually share videos where people are clearly suffering from some type of mental illness, not just a break in their performance, but mental illness. We typically don't take mental illness, we don't take it seriously at all. And as someone who actually has suffered from low-grade depression, if you want to call it that, and I've been on medication to actually deal with the anxiety, I know for a fact that this is something that we don't take seriously. But within the confines of competitive sports, we absolutely are not accustomed to athletes taking mental health breaks. So a lot of this is, like I said, that Charlie is doing what Charlie is doing. Charlie should be ignored, but of course, with such a large platform, Charlie can't be ignored. But I think we need to have a more serious and robust conversation about mental health and not just in the competitive sports. Even though that's important, I don't think that that's where the conversation should begin nor end.
Okay, well, I'm reading your comments on Twitter. You said something a little bit different. You said there are champions who are ready to step into their moment, and then there is Simone Biles. It's okay to criticize her and the decisions she makes. Race and gender helps explain why many consider her off limits. Now, then our own colleague, my own colleague, Naira Hawks, disagreed with you, and you said it's okay to acknowledge that this was not her champion moment. And you talked about that she quit on her team. You suggested that she quit on her team. Explain.
Yeah, well, technically, that actually is what happened. She did quit on her team. She's citing mental health reasons as her her reasons for doing that, and that's just something that we have to accept. But I don't think that we criticize athletes all the time. This is literally something that we do all the time, and in many instances, exactly what I was doing online. I'm criticizing her decision. It's not my decision to make, but the notion that somehow we don't have commentary.
So what's the criticism? That's what I'm trying to get at. That's what I'm trying to get at here. What is your criticism? What I'm trying to get at here is what is your criticism of Simone Biles exactly?
Yeah, well, I don't think that is, for me, I just don't, when we're talking about champions, people being able to push through, we can say that that's a very unfair expectation that we place on our athletes. But when we talk about champions being able to really push through with these type of mental breaks, there's a lot of mental challenges, and not just gymnastics, but in sports in general. There's a lot of things that these athletes, pressure that these athletes are under. But when you're talking about removing yourself from performing because of mental health issues, that is something that obviously people will criticize. As far as the race and gender comment that you're referring to right there, I don't think that we would have the same response if it were just a random white Olympian competing decided that they wanted to remove themselves from the sport. I don't believe that we will even be having the same conversation if we were talking about men. Men typically, if we're talking about mental health, well, definitely as someone who's, like I said, suffered from depression himself, I do know that this is not something that we take seriously when it comes to men. I'm not convinced that if it were a man in Simone Biles' situation, that there will be the same level of outpouring support that she's getting that any man would get. I actually do believe that.
Well, I would disagree with you on that, and I think history may also disagree with you on that. But I'm struggling here to understand this. Simone Biles is a champion. You would agree that she's a champion, right?
She's a very talented, she's an unrivaled gymnast. She absolutely is.
All right, so she's an unrivaled gymnast, she's a champion, and she makes the determination that she is not in a mental state that would allow her to perform at the highest levels and not only help her team win, but maybe even protect her own body. Why should she stay in the game or stay on the team under those circumstances?
At the end of the day, Simone Biles has to do what's important, what's best for her. And that's not just with her, it's anyone. But we still have the right to criticize the decisions that people make, whether it's an athlete or a politician or...
No, but that's not the question. That's a sidestep around the question, though. That's a sidestep around. Okay, let me put it differently. If Simone Biles had broken her leg, would you be criticizing her for not continuing and toughing it out?
No.
So why is it okay to pull out of the games with a leg that could cause you harm or not help the team win, but not pull out if you're in a mental state where you don't feel completely in control of your own body and where you may not perform at a high level for your team? Why is the physical injury okay, but not a mental illness okay?
Because, as I said, this is something that maybe we actually need to warm up to. But the idea of competitive sports is literally you compete, you push through. That's just what it is. If we know athletes compete through.
Well, hold on, Melik, hold on. In sports, we celebrate the athlete that plays with injuries. We celebrate Michael Jordan with the flu game. We talk about people playing, Terrell Owens coming back from a broken leg and playing in the Super Bowl with the Eagles. We celebrate athletes playing through physical pain all the time. So if we have narratives of celebrating and achieving over physical pain, then, and as you're talking about also the mental stress of the sport, then why can't we hold space for somebody to say, look, I'm not physically able to compete, and at the same time, and you're saying you are, but not hold that same space for women or men to say, look, I'm not in a mental space to compete.
As I said, we're probably not there yet. I'm not going to deny that I'm not there yet. But the idea of athletes taking themselves, whether it's not competing, whether it's refusing to do press conferences, that was Naomi Osaka. I think that's what she did. Or we're talking about Simone Biles. Our minds, we're just not there yet. So I don't think that people should be criticized for not being at the same place you are. You are at a different place. You've evolved. But we're not there yet as a society when it comes to competitive sports, where we're saying, okay, well, we understand that athletes go through things, and sometimes they may need to take themselves out of the competitive sports. That's not where we are. That's not where I am. I may get there sometime next year or some other point in time, but the idea that I'm not there now, that's where I am now. But I'm not out there disrespecting her. I'm not out there pulling a Charlie Kirk or any of these other people who are out there doing these things. I'm actually talking about it in what I feel is a very substantive way, as opposed to doing the very cheap and provocative things that others like Charlie Kirk. But if the notion that I can't have an opinion about it, then I just disagree with that at all. I mean, I just disagree with that altogether.
Just so I'm clear, hold on. What led you to the conclusion that someone is suggesting you can't have an opinion on it? Who has said that?
Well, if you actually look at the discussion,
that's a straw man.
Those people who've actually been critical of her, they've all been lumped in together with the Charlie Kirks and the many others who've just been so out of pocket in their criticism of her. But a lot of the things that I'm getting, not just on Twitter, the things that are even in my DM right now, the idea is that, look at you, how dare you say that about her? How dare you say that about Simone Biles? She's a talented Olympian. I've never said anything. I've never said anything about her not being talented or anything. What I am saying that when it comes to competitive sports, I'm not oriented. I'm not there yet when it comes to understanding that there's a mental health component where athletes take themselves out of the game, whether it's Simone Biles, Tom Brady, LeBron James, or any athlete. I'm not there yet when it comes to understanding that they need to mentally take themselves out because they may perform in one way or the other. I'm not oriented in that way, and I'm okay with that.
I got 20 seconds. So you mentioned LeBron James, Tom Brady, all those people. Would Michael Jordan fit in that box of like great athletes who always toughed it out mentally for you?
Of course. Well, all of them are great. That's my whole point about this as being something new. We know nothing about athletes taking mental breaks.
Hold on, but Melik, after Michael Jordan's father died, he retired from the league at the peak of his game. He was the best player in the world, indisputably. He was a 3-time champion, and he didn't pursue a 4th ring. He quit on his team. He didn't go back to the league the next year, and he said it was the pressure and the stress. Even in retrospect, on the most recent documentary from ESPN, he said it was the stress and the pain of his father's loss. He couldn't take it. He needed a mental break from the NBA. So you'd acknowledge that that's consistent with what you're saying and contradicts your idea that this hasn't happened before, right? You concede that was just wrong, right?
No, because we're talking about an Olympic game versus a career in the NBA, something that happens 4 times a year versus an actual NBA career. I don't think that those comparisons are fair, but if you want to make that, then absolutely fine. I just don't think those situations, what Michael Jordan did and what Simone Biles did, are the same thing.
So Michael Jordan didn't quit on his team.
Well, again, I'm making the comparison between the Olympic Games and an NBA career. There are a lot of people who take themselves out of...
I got you. I got to go. But I appreciate you saying that you may evolve to where I am. I hope that too. Melik Abdul, thank you so much for joining me, everybody. Be sure to join the conversation. We got much more coming up. We want to hear from you. Head over to BNC Instagram and Twitter pages. Let us know how you feel. Also, visit our website, bnc.tv, and subscribe to our YouTube page to check out clips from the show.